because today we have lined up Ricky Carmichael, Daytona International Speedway, Frank Kelleher, and Jeremy McGrath joining us today. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with the GOAT, Ricky Carmichael.
Well, thanks for having me here. I appreciate that.
We appreciate your time so much. I know you're a busy guy, one of the voices of Super Motocross, analyst for NBC and Peacock. So just big picture, just to be back here on the grounds of Daytona International Speedway, is this still a special feeling for you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, you think about the history. First and foremost, I'm a fourth generation Floridian. So as you could imagine, this place is really, really special to me. I grew up coming here, watching guys like Jeremy McGrath race here. And so I can remember when I was a little kid, as far back to 10 years old, coming here and just being like, oh my gosh, I want to be like these guys someday. So to be able to have the success that I did, racing here and race the guys that I was able to race against, and then now, of course, designing the Daytona Supercross and being a part of that is certainly an honor for sure, and something that I'm very proud of and first and foremost, very thankful for.
Well, let's talk about this track. You were the mastermind behind it. So what makes the 2026 track layout design so special and challenging? We always know it to be challenging here.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. First off, I want to give a big thank you to the people behind the curtain that don't get the credit that they deserve. And it's everyone from the ops folks here at Daytona International Speedway, and of course, Dirtworks, Alex, and the whole crew over there. They do a fantastic job. They're super receptive to ideas, and the biggest thing is, you know, how do we have a fun racetrack, a safe racetrack? We know that if we have that, it's going to race well on TV and for the fans that are here for the live event. Yeah, it's challenging, because there are certain parameters that you have to abide by, whether it's drainage, irrigation, electrical. They don't like you to get too close to pit lane or the tri-oval, you know, obviously for safety reasons, and I understand that. So that's the difficulties there. But as far as this year goes, pertaining to the track design, I think it's a great racetrack. The right-hand first corner, I'll be the first to say I was always against it, but by having the right-hand first corner, it allows us to do a few different things as far as track design goes. So it's helpful. It's a shorter start. We love how the start faces the fans and kind of goes right towards the tri-oval. So from the wow factor, if you're sitting in the grandstands, you could imagine the excitement that it brings to people who might not be so into tune to Supercross like we are on the day-to-day. I think it's a faster racetrack. There's a few less obstacles this year. We got the split lane in the start. I feel like those particular sections have been a staple to the design for several reasons, and for good reason. They race well majority of the time, and with the sand and again the split lane. You know, ideally, could you imagine going to the last lap of a main event for the 250 or even 450 for that matter? The 1-2 finish, the 1-2 positions going for the lead, and they take the split lane, and it's decided by that. That's the dream. That's the goal. Whether it works out or not, we'll have to see. But that's kind of what goes into it. And literally Sunday morning, while the riders are practicing for the RCSX, we're out there looking at the track design and the layout and spitballing ideas of what went well this year and what we can do to improve and be better for the following year.
I cannot wait. It was so much fun to watch press, but to see it come race time is going to be special. We'd like to open it up to questions from the media. Johnny.
Johnny Hopper with Moto Unfiltered. Ricky, with the weather, it's a 2-point question. If we don't get rain, who do you pick is going to fit this type of a track for the win? And then also, if we do get rain, does that change?
Great question. First of all, I owe you a text back. I will get back to you on that. You know, like Mother Nature, it would be nice for it to work out for us. But to your question, with the track being a bit faster, it's going to get technical, but I don't think from a jump standpoint, more from just an acceleration bump standpoint, braking bump standpoint, and the high speeds. I mean, listen, I don't think it's any secret. You know better than anybody, Eli Tomac is the king of Daytona Supercross. He's won this race 7 times. He's done incredible on that Red Bull KTM, and he's earned that right to get the tip of the hat to. He's the guy to be beaten. So no matter what the condition is here, I do think with it being faster is even going to play into his hand a bit more. And that's not to say because he's not technical, and if it was slower that it would be harder for him. I just think maybe it would be more comfortable for him this way. So I think he's certainly the guy. As far as the 250, and we'll go twofold. If the 250, if it rains, I think I'm going to take a guy that's been in the class for a little bit longer, just that experience, knowing what to do, knowing when to push it, maybe when to pull back, and the guy that's able to play the long game. Hopefully Mother Nature works out, but that's hopefully that answers your question the proper way. Yeah,
name
just
for
it's
the 250.
250.
Yeah, a name if I can have you.
Okay. Well, let's see here. Let's go down the list. I'm going to date the guys, but I think a guy like Seth could do well. He's had some injuries, but at the same time, I feel like he would do well in a situation like this, how well he did last year and just the knowledge that he has. And it looks like he's pulled back a little bit on maybe overriding things. And I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt that he could get it done.
Stefan with LeBigSA.com. You said Eli Tomac is the king. I mean, why is he the king? Why is he so good at Daytona? What kind of skills does he have that the other people don't?
Yeah, that's a great question, LeBig. So, I mean, for me personally, and I can only speak for how I think of things. I'm not in Eli's head. I don't know what he's thinking or how he's thinking. But to give you an example of when I would come here, I loved how it would break down. And I loved how you could, although it was rough and you had to be somewhat precise, I liked how you didn't have to be as precise on this track, and you could let the bike step out a little bit more than you can in Supercross. And again, Eli's a super techie guy, but he's also willing to use all that power that a 450 has and put it to the ground and override the bike, if you will. I feel like sometimes in Supercross, it's hard to do that, and you can get yourself in a really tough spot. So I think that's why he is just so dominant there. I'd like to think that's why, because that's how I was. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, I can breathe a little bit, whereas again, Supercross, you have to be so meticulous. And again, I think I go back to when I was talking to Hopper. It's just this track and how it plays out really caters to his riding, and he's hard on the clutch, hard on the throttle. It's on or off. Whereas you see, you use a guy like Hunter, for example, how he kind of dances around. He's super light on the bike. He doesn't really bulldog it. Not saying that isn't a great way of riding, but I just feel like if you're able to bulldog the bike and kind of push through things, it gives you a slight advantage to maybe someone who is a little more precise and meticulous. You got the king over here and the president they got much more horsepower than I do.
Thank you so much, RC. Ricky Carmichael. Okay, and join us next is President of Daytona International Speedway, Frank Kelleher.
How's everyone doing?
Frank, thank you so much for being here. This is, of course, one of the most adored and famed Supercross races ever. What makes the 2026 edition so special?
Oh, man. I feel like, well, first and foremost, welcome all of you to the World Center of Racing. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you for all the coverage and all the support. I want to thank Max and Morgan and Josh with our comms and PR team. They're here to take care of y'all, so if you need anything, we're at your service. What makes this so special, unique, looking forward to it? I don't someone on Instagram last night, there's been a lot of fun reels that are just like highlighting some of the most epic finishes of Daytona from, 08 with Wyndham in the mud and just some amazing moments. I think just those stories of what these athletes lay down year after year, I think that's what builds, the the prestige of this Supercross race. But just on top of that, I mean, this is the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway. I mean, kicking off the IMSA season with the Rolex 24, Daytona 500 just 2 weeks ago. If you're a racer, like you want to race Daytona, you want to win Daytona. If you're a race fan, you know, at some point in your life, you want to be camping in the infield or sitting in those stands. So to complement that, you know, having a guy like Ricky Carmichael, the GOAT, 19 years, designing this course and having the crew from Dirtworks, I mean, they're just best of the best, and super fortunate to have a guy like Jeremy McGrath say yes to wanting to be our Grand Marshal this year. So you put all those things in it, and I just think that continues to elevate the game at Daytona.
So many world-class premier events, of course, at the World Center of Racing. I want to know from a leadership standpoint or an operational standpoint too, do you have a philosophy that you like to remind yourself of, or a sentiment that you hold dear that you use to keep your entire team, all of your staff, performing their best and putting their best foot forward?
I'm told by my team at times that sometimes I have high expectations, or too high, but I think that comes with the role. I mean, I grew up my family's gas station in Scranton, Pennsylvania. My grandfather started the business. I grew up a mechanic, changing tires, driving a tow truck. I plowed a lot of snow growing up in Pennsylvania. So I just grew up with that grit of, if you're going to put your name on it, if your name is on the front door, you're going to treat people with respect. You're going to look them in the eye. You're going to work hard for their business. And when I think of the France family that started NASCAR, Daytona International Speedway, I mean, Jim France called me 2 days ago and was asking me about how our ticket sales for the flat track. Like, he's in it every single day. So just my mentality is like, nothing is given, nothing is owed. You got to wake up every day and grind, and you got to work for it. And it's a privilege and a gift to have this property and to have these events. So we just don't get lazy. So we look at every event as, this is that league Super Bowl. You know, it is IMSA's Super Bowl. It is NASCAR's Super Bowl. Yeah, we're at the halfway point, but as we all know, talk to any rider, they want to win A1 and they want to win Daytona, and we can't get lazy with that. So I just think it's just our everyday tempo and beat of like, we got to show up. Like, we got to respect that brand Daytona. So we do, though, try to have fun along the way. Like, we can't lose sight of, like, we're here to throw parties. Like, we're here to throw big festival and big fun events. So we try to have fun along the way. But, you know, there are moments where people are tired, you know, and, you know, the operations team, I mean, they don't quit. They don't have an off. I mean, they were all here last weekend building this event. And, you know, next week we're going to have flat track Thursday, Friday, then the Daytona 200 on Saturday. Then we catch our breath, then it's Jeep Beach, then it's Rockville, which is the country's largest rock music festival. So there's just no quit in this team here.
Excellence across every single department and facet of these events. So thank you, Frank. I have so many more questions for you, but I'd like to turn it over to our media. Dan Beaver.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports. You touched on it briefly, but such quick turnovers from the 24 to Daytona to this race, and then really you have to turn things over again for the Moto America's Superbike race. What one or two things from an operational standpoint makes it so much challenging, or so challenging?
And every element of it, right? When you think about the IMSA series, I think it's 240 different drivers, 60 cars, all of the crew chiefs, all of the crew. Just like the driver owner lot for NASCAR only can handle like a third of them. So, you know, our driver owner lot just expands from that. Just where you are parking all of the trucks and all of the trailers, like each event is so unique and so different on its own. Just that logistics and the planning, like you're out there measuring for, you know, every blade of grass of what you're going to do with it. So I think that from the catch fence in, that's really the majority of the work and the stress of, you know, as Jeep Beach is wrapping up, Rockville is staking stages. And it's kind of that way as well of, folks from NASCAR are showing up before the Rolex 24 event is even over. For an event like this, you know, some of the stats and facts of 300 loads of black dirt, 30 loads of clay, 25 loads of sand, someone needs on their schedule months in advance to make sure this is all ready to go. and that, the trucks are ready to, and, the manpower is there to move it. So that's the beast of logistically running this place.
Johnny.
Johnny Hopper with Moto Unfiltered. Talking with some previous champions when this race was considered a motocross, and it ended Bike Week, and then now it's kind of become the epicenter to start off Bike Week. Can you talk on how you've seen the Daytona motocross turn into Supercross and how popular it's become?
Yeah, it's today is opening ceremonies for the 85th anniversary of Bike Week, and we're proud to have this tentpole event, which definitely we see a huge economic impact this very first weekend of folks coming in. So we're very proud of that. And you're right, it kind of has flopped of, where does the 200 fit on the calendar and where does the Supercross race fit on it? So we're happy with the momentum that we have going with this event. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for our second weekend with the Daytona 200, it now being a points race. Next Saturday will be the highest paying purse that Daytona has ever paid for the Daytona 200. So we're continuing to really invest and earn everything on the two-wheel world. And I was out at SMX in Vegas and just making noise, not for the sake of making noise, but just genuinely like the SMX, the playoffs, and the championship. I would love for Daytona to be in the consideration set. Like, let's maintain and protect this event and the integrity of this track, and let's look at this infield differently. And maybe we look back to some of those images from the 80s and 90s when they were getting in between, the east and west horseshoe and the infield. So we're going to continue to focus on two wheels and look for ways to grow it. That's just a promoter talking. I'd love to figure it out. It's not my call, but just the willingness is there.
Frank, I know you have a very tight schedule, so it sounds like that's all we have time for today. Thank you very much.
No, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it.
Frank Kelleher, president of Daytona International Speedway.
And now the real talent comes up.
And last but certainly not least, a guy who needs no introduction, Jeremy McGrath, the king of Supercross. And, of course, our Grand Marshal for this weekend. Jeremy, you've had a lot of success here at Daytona. We know this is an important one to you. To be asked to be the Grand Marshal, what was that moment like?
Yeah, it's, Daytona is always such a great place to come back to because it was such a struggle in the very beginning of my career. I just didn't really have the temperament for even the thought of trying to win this race. But then, as I kind of grew as a man and as a rider, of course, I got more confidence. I got my skill set got better, and Daytona is a legendary place. It's the track alone is just a tough one to handle, especially at speed. So to be lucky enough to win this thing a couple times was pretty awesome, and to be back as a Grand Marshal is pretty cool. I'm excited to wave the green flag. I'm still such a race nut as watching races, so pretty happy to be here, and it's a great position, so I appreciate the opportunity. It's great.
To race here at Daytona, this is one of the most challenging, as much as it is one of the most adored on the schedule. Given your analysis, how does that challenge that you experienced racing and winning here compared to the challenge that today's racers are faced with? How would you compare the two?
Well, I mean, we all of you historians that know motocross and supercross pretty well, the Daytona Supercross has kind of transformed over the years from sort of this old, very skinny, sandy motocross track into, like Frank said, the days of the 80s and the 90s when it was, it was a little bit later in the year. It was hot. It was very hot. Track was very treacherous. It was the old kind of Gary Bailey designed track, which was half grass whoops, half sand, half clay, it was like every obstacle was like a challenge in itself. So we had 40 guys back in the day. Now it's a little bit different. There's 20 guys, sort of the traditional style Supercross race now, and now they're running it under lights. So it's transformed over the years. Like I said, like during my career, I'd never really raced it at night, so I just didn't really experience it like this. When I speak with some of the older veteran riders, they're always, man, remember when we used to race? It was so hot there. And now, you know, it's the guys get a little reprieve, which is nice. It's more classy. It's more at night. It's like Supercross should be, I think. So, you know, again, Daytona is one of those events just so prestigious on the schedule, and it's changed a lot over the years. But what hasn't changed is the amount of effort these guys put in to win this race.
A question over on this side of the room. Johnny.
Johnny Hopper with Moto Unfiltered. Jeremy, a two-hit question. So you've got this whole shot challenge coming, and so the racer in you, I want to know the reason behind not having starting blocks and not having a whole shot device. And then two, talking with some of your competitors, a little bit younger, Axel Hodges says that he's coming for the crown.
Yeah. So we're gonna do Whole Shot Kings tonight, which is just a blessing in itself. We kind of came up with this fun idea that, you know, it was a good way to get some of the older guys back into doing a little racing with a low element of risk, right? Thankfully, they all said yes, right? Because, you know, a lot of guys don't ride these days, and even Ricky hasn't really ridden much. And we did this at Motocross of Nations, and it was a huge hit. So tonight we're going to do that. We kind of I just decided, okay, we'll modernize it a little bit with the starting grate. We'll kind of bring back the rider element in it with no start device. You are allowed to have starting blocks if you want, for short guys like me and RC probably, but for the most part, it's really about talking some crap on each other and just having some fun with guys that, I mean, half the guys in this thing tonight are like my heroes, you know what I mean? So we got Stanton, we got Bradshaw, and guys that are Pastrana's in there, of course, and just a lot of fun guys, and guys that ride their dirt bikes for still today, for the passion of it, you know. So tonight will be a lot of fun. We'll see how it goes. It's just some drag racing out there, good old fashioned drag racing on dirt bikes, and we'll see what happens.
I'm glad this is going down tonight. Dan.
Dan Beaver, NBC Sports. For non-endemic readers, what is the anatomy of a whole shot? What makes a whole shot work?
Yeah, so we call it the Whole Shot Kings, and the whole shot as a term really is just the guy that gets the best start, right? In Supercross, there's 22 guys. The guy that comes out in front, they use a chalk line now, and the guy that gets there first, he's the guy that gets the whole shot. So in our little entertainment event we're doing tonight, it's a one-on-one match. We do like a bracket-style race, and the whole shot's the guy that gets to the finish line first. It's straight line. We have lasers set up for all the data, and it's going to be fun because we have different speeds and we have times and stuff like that. And everyone's going to be, it's so close. Tonight we're doing it we have a little dirt off the line, but then we get on the grass, and the grass is super slippery. So whether the grass tears itself up enough to get us some more traction, but it's going to be tricky. It's not as straightforward as it seems. So you're going to have to really know what you're doing tonight, especially with no lockdown. So the whole shot is basically the guy that gets there first.
We had an opportunity to hear from Ricky. I believe Johnny had asked about his thoughts on the current competition. I'd like to ask you the same. Do you have any thoughts on the 250 or 450 riders going into this weekend and who it may suit, regardless of the conditions?
Yeah, you know, I think like Ricky said, you can't really not bet on Eli, right? Eli has the record. He's kind of the guy that, I mean, what Ricky didn't mention is when a guy like Eli comes to a race like this, he comes in with like crazy confidence. He's like, hey, I'm Mr. Daytona, I'm 7-time winner. You know, he comes here with a bit of extra confidence, I'd say. But then we had a great race last week between him and Hunter, right? So Hunter's coming in here with a win, his first win, in fact. And so he's going to come out tomorrow swinging pretty hard, I think. And he's shown that he can go the distance. So I would say that, you know, we can expect some great racing and great racing to the end. And if like Ricky said, it works out with the split lane, wouldn't that be amazing? But I think those two guys probably have the most confidence right now. So, yeah, again, I'm kind of with RC, though. You can't bet against Eli. As far as 250 goes, Hammaker was a good pick. Shimoda rode great last week, too. You know, the 250 class is always fun because you just don't totally know who's going to win. And last week's race was pretty good, even with some of the drama that was out there. So, yeah, I mean, I know he picked Hammaker. Hammaker's one of my favorites, obviously, in the 250 class. But all we can hope for is a good race.
If you were lining up in the 250 class and you see that schedule pretty far in advance, you see that Daytona is the second round of the East Coast, is that something that you would be looking forward to, just given the challenge and the nature of this event? Or would you want that one to be a little bit further in the schedule for you once you're a little bit more settled in the season? Either way, this is going to be so enticing for this fans.
Yeah, I think every rider probably comes into Daytona just feeling a little bit different, and it really just pertains to their skill set. Some guys probably feel like, oh man, I'm great at Daytona. I don't care when the race is. First race, second race, maybe they'd like to start the East with it. But some guys may not feel so confident here, and they would rather get the thing going and let the series and try to get the results going and build some confidence, and then come to Daytona. So again, we've discussed it. Daytona is a tough track. It's a really tough track to handle. If you don't get a good start, if you're not up in front with the guys and in the mix early, you're going to have to take a lot of chances because of the conditions of the dirt, and nothing out there is consistent, right? It wears out, gets big ruts. All the lips get ruts. You go from black dirt to orange dirt to sand it's just, as a rider, you're just dealing with all the elements, which makes it awesome. It's just so tough. So we say it every week. It's imperative to get a good start, but I guess there's some guys that can come from the back, but this is a track you want to sort of be up with the front guys because it can get splintered pretty quick and you can be off the back pretty fast.
We always appreciate your analysis. Any last questions for Jeremy McGrath? Yep, sir.
Yeah, Tom Jernett with RacerX. Just a quick question. Obviously, Daytona, it's iconic venue, race, everything. But in your own words, what makes it so special?
I think in my day, Daytona was special because it was very difficult. And I think today, when you compare a track like a venue like a regular stadium track versus this track, it's the same feeling. This is hard to handle. This track's hard to handle, and when you accomplish a win or have a great result here, you feel like you've actually really done something. And with the mystique and the legend of Daytona on top of that, it kind of all goes together, I would say mostly as a rider, though, this track's tough, and to just have success here is a tough thing to do.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeremy. We appreciate it. King of Supercross, Jeremy McGrath. That will conclude today's press conference. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great night tomorrow.